My name's Matt Grimshaw. I'm a British transplant living in California, an adventure enthusiast, and an aspiring filmmaker with a hopeless addiction to documentaries. For the last 3 years, I've been filming all my exploits as I try to get my own first production, a two-wheeled search for American identity, off the ground. But without much success.
Coming out of the left side of your bike, and it's not just the exhaust, it's in front of the exhaust.
The cylinder's leaking. Maybe seals have blown.
It was just after I'd blown up my first bike on its shakedown test that I got a call from an exotic car club called 100 Octane with an amazing offer. Come join their 4-day experience tour. It was last minute, so no time to prepare, and I'd be sleeping wherever I could crash. But if I could make the start line, they'd let me ride along.
I'm staying up. I'm wilding out. I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in. Pushing off my sneakers to the ground. I do not jump, I move the earth down. Bear witness to the genius of my sound. Bored at the bottom, but now I'm tucked down. Look, I'ma call it swagger. I slip through time zones.
I took 4 days off work to do this.
Oh yeah? Oh, it's not what you do for a living, you're not a...
Yeah, but I'm freelance and he's not paying me, so he said, do you want to come and run around with a whole bunch of super high-end cars and Valentino Balboni for 4 days?
Yeah,
and I was
you're
like,
yeah, sure.
it's a question.
Yeah,
It's a really stupid one.
I'm an east side boy and this boy don't play. I leave mad jaws drop with nothing to say. And I'm a bad rich kid, but nothing to pay. Sharp tongue cut you up like a fish fillet. I'm a bird on a wire.
So here's the setup. The club have scouted the route so that it includes some of the most breathtaking roads and scenery the western states have to offer. Beginning in Silicon Valley, we head southeast to our first overnight stop at Mammoth Lakes. Day 2 takes us across Death Valley to Las Vegas. Day 3 is a route from Las Vegas to Beverly Hills and Hollywood.
Now the museum's called the Peterson Automotive Museum for Bob Peterson.
With the final day being the drive north back to Silicon Valley. There are over 20 exotics on the trip, and I can ride with whoever will agree to it. It's like a big budget car TV show. Except without the budget or the film crew, without the expensive equipment, and it's for real. It's just me, a bag full of cameras, and a grin from ear to ear. These are real people with their own cars, and this is a real trip that they all paid to go on. Let's hope the English accent doesn't jar them too much. First day, first leg, and first cock up. A dead memory card and a forgotten time-lapse camera set the tone for the morning. but thankfully I was riding with Steve in his McLaren 570S, and Steve was cooler than refrigerated socks, meaning that despite having to turn around to pick up a forgotten camera, his local knowledge combined with his complete confidence in his ride meant we caught up with the pack in no time at all.
Here comes Dad.
The reason that any of our 2-hour conversation is audible at all is down to the refinement of the 570S. That's despite over 560 horsepower sitting less than 1 foot from our heads and the camera, which was most impressive. And funnily enough, living with a supercar was something that popped up in our conversation.
There's also knowing what your limits as a driver are and not expecting to be able to do too much. Many years ago, I took a brief course at Laguna Seca with Skip Barber Racing Schools. Basically, these were little single-seater, open-wheel things.
I've done the British equivalent.
And I'm bombing around the track, and I think I'm doing pretty well. And I'm, right up on the tail of the instructor in front, everything like that. And at one point, we're going down the straight, he pulls into the pits, and as we're driving through the pits, somebody hands him a white package in his car. And then we go off again. So my wife was sitting in the pits, and I said, what did he pick up? She goes, that was his lunch. He was eating a burrito. So I am sweating buckets, trying so hard to keep up with this guy, and he's eating his lunch. And that was the moment I knew that I was not going to be a professional race driver. I just love that. It was a burrito. The guy who was driving the HELLCAT was saying that he was having a really hard time keeping up with everybody. It's like, oh, yeah, 700 horsepower in here.
No, it looks like he's lowered that thing. It has been.
And I'm looking at the exhaust pipes. They're going to be hitting on everything. He's got to be careful when you start modifying the cars. It's very easy to make them worse.
The blue beast behind us is the modified Dodge Charger HELLCAT that had been a last-minute inclusion. This was in fact our last sighting of what Steve and I had lovingly nicknamed the Hell Kitty. Soon after we left this particular town, we heard over group messaging that one of its huge tyres had kicked up a small manhole cover, which bounced around underneath the car like an over-caffeinated child, wrecking the oil pump and transmission. But while a tow truck had gone looking for our lame feline friend, we'd gotten a bit lost looking for the first stop.
This feeling that we missed something.
Oh, it says Jamestown back that way.
No, we're not going to Jamestown.
Colombia, like so many small towns in the Sierra Mountains, traces its roots back to the California Gold Rush, when in 1850, Dr. Thaddeus Hildreth and Company camped here and discovered gold. Like many 49er towns, all the gold was gone after just 10 years. But unlike many towns that were simply abandoned, Colombia struggled on, and today gives visitors a taste of that old world. So much so that this is one of Hollywood's favourite haunts, with movies like High Noon and Pale Rider, plus serials like The Lone Ranger and Little House on the Prairie, using it as a location. But sadly I couldn't, because after wandering around town and shooting a great bunch of footage, I discovered the corrupted memory card over lunch and a lot of colourful language. Thankfully, I bought a second main camera that could stand in until I could figure out the problem, but for now, it was time to get moving again.
It just turns to really tight down, curves downhill. No. It's the same road. Yeah, you basically stay on the road. And then there's a spot to turn around at the bottom of it. I'm going to come out here again.
Yeah, we'll see you back in a bit. All right. No, actually. All right. All right, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, I need to say goodbye to Andrew.
Which one's Andrew?
918 guy.
Oh, is he not staying?
No.
Faded out.
Not able to get back.
How's the trip so far? Hot?
Very hot. It's just sweating out.
Lost my sunglasses already, had to piss my girlfriend off, they were hers. Thought I'd lost this camera because I left it behind at the hotel doing a time lapse, which didn't even come out, which really pissed me off.
Now I'd switched to the lead car, which was actually a car and not merely an engine with seats. I could get some rolling footage. Nothing too fancy though, as I was limited by my own bravery and how steady I could be with a heavy camera in a moving vehicle. But I have to say that looking back at cars like these in motion is, to me, purely hypnotic. There's simply no way pictures can do the scene or scenery any justice whatsoever. It was epic. So Benoit, tell me, how did you get from a love of cars to 100 octane?
When I was 15, July 7, 1990, there was a big Ferrari gathering in my hometown, a small village in France, 1,200 people, and the chief mechanic from the French importer Ferrari at the time was born in that village as well. So in July 1990, decided to do a Ferrari gathering with the Ferrari Club de France in my small village, and 65 Ferraris showed up. I had never seen a Ferrari before, and it was love at first sight. And well, life happened, went to school, worked in completely unrelated fields, and then worked in high tech, worked for Netscape in Paris. Then they relocated me here in 2000, and there was a lot more nice cars here than we have for sure in Paris. So I started getting involved, going to car gathering. I had a small 550 Spider replica back, which was a lot of fun for a few years. Took that to some Cars and Coffee types event. But there was no real exotic car show at the time, so I just decided to do one which was just for exotic cars. So that's our Cars and Croissant at Santana Row. We're now doing festivals, so the whole weekend. And then I coupled that, my passion of exotic cars, with my passion of the scenery that we have around here. When friends and family come from France and visit me here in the Bay Area, I do the same exact road trip, not with the same cars, but I take people on this journey because we don't have this where I come from. This is really cool. All right, let's play a little bit.
Don't give it too much fun, mate. There's absolutely no Armco.
I know. Yeah. I hope Jamie took that shortcut. That's old Priest Grade Road, and we're on new Priest Grade Road. The asphalt is much better, but that's a lot faster. I think it saves you 5 minutes to take the old road.
I was looking for a little outcrop like that where I could shoot them down there.
I could have dropped you off here.
It's impossible to get a straight shot with you going that fast, mate.
Well, I'm sorry, but I've got Valentino Balboni pushing me.
He's behind you?
Yeah. I've got the maestro behind me. You gonna be sick?
No.
Shit, I am.
One of the biggest draws for me on this trip was the previously mentioned Valentino Balboni. And if you're not a petrol head, you won't know why. For me, memories of his name stretch back to my own 1980s childhood and his association with the Lamborghini Countach, which he'd helped develop. He'd retired in 2008 and was actually driving one of the last models he'd helped bring to the road.
Oh good, so he's ahead of us, awesome. Do we need to display this at all?
But my hero worship was about to reach Wayne's World levels of unworthiness. I needed to speak to him fast in order to get over the nerves, and coming up was a perfect opportunity.
That was very elegantly done. You've done that before.
In a dress.
You're getting that in a dress? I'm impressed. So Valentino, this is like an everyday occurrence for you.
This is a special day, very particular. I'm enjoying these beautiful places, beautiful cars.
Have you been here before?
I think a couple of times, yeah. With the same group. And it's every time is the first time. It's so nice and so beautiful atmosphere, the color of the sky. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And we're enjoying driving beautiful cars. You know, this is the best of the best.
As we were now on slow roads with strictly enforced and rather slow speed limits, we formed a very expensive snaking line of exotics. Now this came with numerous side effects, namely causing people travelling in the opposite direction to stare as if 10 million bucks worth of metal was coming towards them. This is certainly about the most unsubtle caravan of vehicles you can imagine. And while all of this was going on, I busied myself with trying to film while Benoit continued to exhibit the Wraith's excellent handling abilities. Oh, and don't forget about the flying bugs, stones and twigs. My head attracted plenty of those. Olmsted Point on TIOGA Road is named for the famous landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted, who acted, albeit briefly, as one of the first commissioners appointed to manage the land grant of Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Big Tree Grove from Congress to the state of California by means of a park. This was some 50 years before the foundation of the National Park Service in 1916. And it boasts some of the most amazing and accessible views in the whole world. And of course it's a good spot for shooting some snaps of the cars. And a little modelling on the side to keep the sponsors happy.
Alright, Jamie, go for it.
Yours or Hungary? Good. Dirty. Good. You got it. Okay. Let's get the hints out of the way. Okay, got it.
There's some great shots of you chaps out the back.
Thanks. The background's great.
It is, isn't it?
Olmsted Point also leads onto Tioga Pass, a road I'd driven in a convertible Mustang some 4 years ago on a road trip with my sister. But as I was driving on that trip, I didn't get to see as much as I would have liked. So I decided to attempt to film the whole pass in one long sequence. What could go wrong? First of all, let me just point out the obvious. The TIOGA Pass is quite insanely breathtaking. No, seriously, everywhere you look makes you involuntarily inhale so sharply that for the entire 60 odd miles it takes to traverse, it makes everyone in the car sound like they're having an asthma attack. In fact, the most amazing thing is that anyone would dare to build a road across such rugged terrain in the first place. It almost defies belief. But TIOGA Pass, just like many roads that cross the mighty Sierras, is a seasonal road that closes in winter due to the snow. The name most associated with TIOGA Pass is that of Stephen T. Mather, the father of the national park system. It was he that leveraged the money of wealthy donors in addition to his own in order to buy the road from private ownership and then donate it back to the national park system, allowing it to be enjoyed by anyone that can reach it.
Yeah, it is. I think that's green out there.
No, definitely. We were driving in and I'm like, oh, my head's a little wet right now. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Keep the roof up about now.
All right. It looks like we better just split.
Dad's still in the bathroom and I have no key.
Got some great shots of you guys. As you come around the corners, half mountain on the side, your car on the side there.
Perfect.
Had to take some bug strikes in the back of the head for it.
Matt, you good? In the car, Matt.
Yep.
With rain threatening despite the day's heat and multi-lane highways with much higher speed limits ahead, the final leg of day one felt like a time to reflect. And of course to work on some rolling shots.
It weren't that bad going around corners. Well, I don't know about you, but not being thrown around a little bit weren't bad.
I still didn't know where I'd be sleeping that night or where I'd be eating, as tonight I had to fend for myself due to the Macallan Scotch pairing event. My thoughts drifted to food and finding a nice spot to curl up next to Valentino's SUPERLEGGERA Gallardo. But first we had to get all of the cars put to bed for the night, and with a combined cost of millions, that was easier said than done.
great. Could hear you barking all the way up the top of the hill when we were down the bottom.
Really?
Oh yeah, the noise is great. How's the drive?
That was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, we got up to the speed limit safely.
Of course.
It was awesome.
Dane and Joseph is the couch you're gonna crash on.
Okay. Hello, couch friends.
Yeah.
He's your...
Yeah, we got it.
Cool.
He's the famous silver couch surfer.
Yes. Well,
Matt, right?
Blue.
Matt.
Your video stuff is still in the back of my van.
No,
You guys want to take a picture of the car?
You guys want to?
Yeah, can you send it to me?
Give him a call. Well, you gotta give me an email or something. I can't just be like, oh, put that arm behind. Oh, sorry, just wax you. Come on in right behind. Shine. I did not find the other bag.
Daddy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Coming up on day 2, Ted's Red Devil overtakes people. I get to hang out of an entirely different window. And it's the heat of Death Valley versus the pure cool of Valentino in a mad dash across the desert in over 120 Fahrenheit.
Noise. Let's just break it down.
Destination, Sin City, Las Vegas itself.
The disco ball pops, but I have to be me, and everyone can see your anger is misplaced, and I'm gonna tell